Well, stinky movies are one thing. Let's talk some stinky wrestling. Where do we start? Actually, what do you want to start talking about?
Before we get into the long one, you want to talk about Rampage this Friday night. Because this past Friday night, I should say, or this past Friday afternoon at 5:30, the most inopportune time for a wrestling program on cable television in recorded history. We didn't watch all of it. Apparently something that I skipped through made the news, but I wanted to see Jay Lethal. My man Jay Lethal was wrestling, and that's such a rare occasion I wanted to see it. But did somebody else piss somebody else off before and I zipped through it?
Well, they did a promo. The thing that got me to check out the show was I heard from a bunch of people. We got a bunch of emails about it. Lambert and Paige and Scorpio Sky did a promo just talking about being the TNT champion and running down Sammy and Ty Conti, which naturally makes them all baby faces. Even though they're running down the town they're in, they're running down wrestlers that the fans all hate. So all this is going on, and then I guess Scorpio Sky said the line, the TNT title is no longer going to be passed around like Ty Conti backstage.
Go!
And that got some people up in arms. You know, how dare you say that about a woman on TV? Got the fans pretty happy when he said that in the building. But I guess before anything else, because several people sent me, and we'll talk about if this is legit or not. I mean, it seems like something. Some people sent me some stuff from Twitter, but what do you think about using that kind of line on TV? Especially, there is no defined heel or babyface here. I don't know who's what in this feud.
Well, the line as it stands, that was pretty stiff. I liked that, but it should have been delivered by... There is no clearly defined babyface or heel, as you say here, and even if it's where, okay, Lambert and company have been the heels, but now we want the people on their side in this against Sammy and Ty, why do they come out and then make fun of the people or the town before? They don't need to do that if that's the position they're in, because that's at cross purposes and it's confusing. And I mean, yes, it is a distasteful line, and there should be more distasteful stuff in wrestling to get people's emotions up and to sound like that they're really mad at each other and or displeased with each other. But there's also another rule of thumb that the lines land differently depending on who delivers them. And if it's some universally beloved, like CM Punk, you know, yes, not only the people in the fucking building would have, oh yeah, but also the people at home would have, yeah, because they love him and they don't like the fucking other two. But when it's just already asshole heels saying that, when they've, Lambert especially has said a lot of other shit, try to get people stirred up, then it's just people exchanging distasteful comments about each other. And only the really hardcore, I'm going to love this even if they do the Tijuana Donkey Show on television, AEW fans they're going to be fine with that. But that's another thing, law of diminishing returns, with the way people are touchy about the way you refer to women these days. Why do that? You know, when you're taking chances in the new ownership and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not upset about the line, but the context is just confusing. And, you know, why do that?
Well, coming out of that promo, and the promo ended with Frankie Kazarian coming out there in a suit.
See, I remember zipping through because I saw the other Page talking. And
he's the best one. He's the best one of them all. He's incredible on the mic. You got to see him.
Yeah, I don't like him because he's another outlaw fucking cosplay trampoline cowboy. But anyway.
But can't you be born
that's
again?
Why I zipped through it.
Can you be born again with wrestling when it comes to doing things in the past?
I'm not really in favor of his being born the first time.
Oh,
I don't know why I'd want to see it a second time. Go ahead.
Well, after that, because that was, what was Rampage? Rampage was the 6th, correct? Yeah.
Sure.
So on the 6th at 6:30.
Immediately after the show.
Actually, this is in response to this one. The first one was at 6:22, so 9 minutes before that. Ty Conti tweeted out the typical, and then in quotes, "Let me call her a bitch because she didn't want to fuck me." End quote. Ha 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 ha. Your girl better keep her eyes open. I'm not the only one that got DM from you. ...
Wait a minute, is that a sexually transmitted disease? DM?
I think it's a sexually transmitted message that comes maybe to some people.
Well, she got DM from him.
But anyway, she said that at 6:22. And again, the show aired at 5:30 on that night.
So as the immortal Dennis Condrey may have said, struck a nerve somewhere?
So then this tweet, again, several listeners emailed this to us. Apparently, her name's Alex Gracia. She is the girlfriend of Scorpio Sky. She's in the business. I don't know her, so I can't say I've seen her or anything. But she retweeted that, quote tweeted it, and said, "You and your man both have a proven," with proven all in caps, "track record of cheating, so to even pretend about this is silly. Now do your job and keep me out of your mouth, since I don't even work there. Paige Van Zandt is the one you need to be worrying about." So that's what made me think, oh, okay, is this a work now? Because all of a sudden they're bringing Paige Van Zandt into it. They tagged her in it as well.
I don't know what any of their personal situation is, nor I view it much like the royal weddings. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But if they're really bitching at each other and not working in some fashion, then what is Tony running over there? Romper room with fucking sex and violence? They're mentally all 7, but yet at the same time, they're of legal age to fucking fight. So I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll see how this plays out. The strange social media feud happening in AEW right now, featuring the TNT champion. You would think the feud would be playing out on TNT, but instead it's playing out on Twitter.
You know, maybe if they were as believable, had as much oomph and stiffness to their remarks on television as they do on Twitter, the show would be more exciting to watch.
Did you watch? You said you watched the Jay Lethal match.
Well, yeah. Well, and I zipped through, as I said, and just made a couple of notes earlier on. Danhausen is continuing to make Hook look like some kind of idiot. Riho was back by unpopular demand, and she wrestled a small Japanese child dressed like a genie who did a bunch of flips and couldn't grab a headlock. And it lasted forever, according to my fast forward on screen. But I wanted to see Jay Lethal, because a Jay Lethal sighting where he's actually allowed to have a match on this television or any of their television shows is important, and we can't let that go by, right? But, and you don't know where I'm going with this, Brian, by the time we get to the end of it, but you realize if you didn't realize beforehand, and you did when you saw the graphics for the introduction of Jay Lethal's opponent, that his name written in English is literally "take a shitta." Did you not see this?
I did not.
His name written in English is literally "take a shitta."
Come on, hold on. Let me look this up. AEW Rampage results. Let's see the results here. Tony Storm teamed up with Ruby Soho to take on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter, JD Drake against Hook. Yaka Sakazaki versus Riho.
Yeah, she was the little Japanese genie.
And that was in the Owen Hart Cup. How come we didn't list the last match here? Hold on. And then Jay Lethal versus Konosuke.
What does that say?
It says "take shitta" if you read it. If you read it the way it's written.
Now they're saying it Takashita, but if you read it with English eyes for the first time, it's "take shitta." Now, having said that, and I know there's probably, this guy is from DDT in Japan, so I'm sure there's video of this guy versus the Invisible Man or a blow-up doll or a 6-year-old child or a donkey, whatever the case. But seeing him for the first time ever, having never heard of this guy before, he was fine. This guy was okay. He had size. He was in shape. He's young. They didn't have to work with him like they're working with a Fabergé egg. He was athletic. He was serious. He did no goofy bullshit. He didn't do a cute dance. He wasn't wearing a bizarre, fashionable jacket that he would use in his offense. None of the screaming Oscar-type Japanese stereotypes over at the WWE. He did a little interview. He can't speak English. He's got a very heavy accent, but you could hide that with a tag team partner or manager if he was a heel or whatever. But if they wanted to fucking put this guy, just from this one match that I saw him, if they wanted to put this guy in the Blackpool Combat Club, or they wanted to push this guy in some fashion, until I see something wrong with him, I wouldn't have a problem with it. He looked more like a fucking young, serious pro wrestler than half the people on their fucking roster. So, and by the way, now that I've said something nice about someone of Japanese descent, besides Tojo Yamamoto, how is it racist when I knock Japanese wrestlers? Because being a wrestler is not a race, it's a profession. So would I be professionist? There's no term such as that, because it's nonsense. The Japanese people, as a whole, as a race, as a culture, they're very nice, very intelligent, very studious, hardworking, respectful of their elders, polite. Got no problem. I just don't like the bad outlaw mud show Japanese wrestlers. Especially when they weigh 120 pounds and dress like a fucking child cosplaying Barbara Eden and I Dream of Jeannie. But I don't think that's a race of people. I think that's a profession, if you will. Actually, they're not very professional. It's a persuasion of people. I don't like people of the outlaw mud show untalented persuasion. So anyway, in this match, they had a good match. Jay Lethal never has a bad one. Like I said, this kid was pretty good. Old Takeshita, he uses Jumbo Tsuruta's jumping knee lift, so he hit that, boom. There was a distraction of the referee, but he got a 2 count, and then they went back and forth, and then out of nowhere, Lethal got the lethal injection, 1, 2, 3. Jay Lethal won the match, good stuff. I was ready to say they did something right. And then, even though the heels won, they have to jump the guy because there's always got to be an afterbirth. Because we always got to bring somebody else out. And they get more heat, even though there's no reason for it, on this guy that they probably never met before. And then here comes the Puddin' Gang, music and all. And thankfully, before old Trent and his partner Chucklefuck got to the ring, the Jolly Green Giant beat them up. But then here comes Pockets, and he does a little comedy just so that we won't take anything seriously. And then here comes Samoa Joe out, and the people actually get up because, okay, here's another fucking guy we'd like to see. And the security stops him from getting in the ring. The same thing they're doing with Wardlow. But besides that, where was the security when the 2 heels and the giant 7'6" fucking Zippy the Pinhead were beating up the one guy? Where was the security when the 3 other guys came out and jumped in the ring? Where was the security when the Jolly Green Giant beat them up? But now Joe comes out to get even with everybody, and security stops him. The afterbirth sucks swamp water, so they can't even go 2 segments and get something accomplished without falling in the toilet. Your thoughts?
I didn't really watch it. I zipped through it. For whatever it's worth, I'm kind of not interested in Jay Lethal right now. Let's see where they go.
Well, nobody would be just from what he's done there. They would be interested in him from Ring of Honor and his previous career, like everybody else that comes to AEW. You're interested when they start.
And they have him with Sanjay. And guess what? I never watched TNA because I never liked it, so I've never really seen too much of Sanjay. All of a sudden, he's just there doing the promos for them, and they got this giant that no one cares about, so kind of makes me care less about Jay Lethal.
Sanjay can talk.
Yeah, he can talk just fine out of nowhere. I never saw this guy on AEW TV, and all of a sudden he's there and he can talk.
Sanjay can talk, and he's a smart guy, and he's worked behind the scenes in a variety of different places. And if they had made a concerted effort to put Sanjay and Jay Lethal really are longtime friends, if they had put Sanjay with Jay Lethal as his player coach, manager / trainer, ex-wrestler, whatever the fuck, and made them a little package and pushed them, they'd have somebody for the India market because Sanjay's from, I don't think he was born in fucking New Delhi or whatever, but he's of Indian descent. And leave off the goddamn Jolly Green Giant, because that's done. Besides the fact that they brought Jay in, everybody was excited, and then we didn't see him forever, and he lost his first 3 or 4 matches. Okay, that was strike one. You turn him heel and put Sanjay with him, that could have revitalized him. But the only organized push around that has been so that they both can talk and take bumps for a fucking immobile fucking pinhead that makes goddamn Almost over in the WWE look like fucking Don Leo Jonathan. And nobody gives a shit. Because it's stop, start, barely there, and now it's targeted toward the India market, which maybe they're turning cartwheels over there, but we can't see them. So,
you know what the other thing is, too? I mean, we just watched this WWE pay-per-view that we're going to talk about, and we saw the TV shows the last few weeks. Just coming out there and being a giant doesn't mean as much anymore. I've seen it. You know, what's the difference between the guy with Jay Lethal and Omos? You know, they're the same size. They go out there. They're intimidating looking. I've seen it.
One guy gets his hair cut with a pencil sharpener.
My point is, we've seen these guys. There's Dabo Kato. There's the other giant that's there. There have been different people, Great Khali, different people throughout the years. Andre was special, and he was the shortest one of them all.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like it's special anymore just to be 7 feet tall or 7'2" and come out there. What are you going to do? You have to actually be able to do something.
It's not as easy as it used to be, but they seem to be more 7-footers, but they don't seem to be as good. I don't know. But yeah, old Satnam Singh is probably the final straw on the camel that broke poor Jay Lethal's back, with the malfeasance of booking and the lackluster debut matches, not through any fault of his, but because he was basically used as a fucking job guy with his first appearances and eased backwards into the goddamn thing. That only worked with Cactus Jack in '89. It's never worked since. Ease a guy into a top spot as a job guy.
Do you think Jay Lethal eases himself into a top breakfast?
Well, you know, as a matter of fact, Jay Lethal is a very, very healthy and nutritious individual, and I'm sure that is a very important thing for him. As a matter of fact, Brian, it's very important for a lot of the people in the audience. Allow me to read an email that I've recently received from one of our fine listeners. This is Neil in Las Vegas, who says, "Hi, Jim." And I suppose that Brian would be implied in that. "Listening to your podcast, I know you love food almost as much as you love wrestling. I have a condition where my pancreas creates too much insulin, and as a result, I can't eat things with a lot of added sugar in them. As a result, most breakfast foods that taste great are really bad for my health. But do you know of any tasty snacks or breakfast options that are both healthy and free of added sugars?" Son of a gun, Neil. Wouldn't you know who won the pony? We know the people that you've got to be talking to, our friends at Magic Spoon, because we've talked about this for months now. As a matter of fact, I don't know why you haven't heard it. Maybe you haven't been listening with your Raycon wireless earbuds, but nevertheless, Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Now, we must make note that the honey nut flavor has 1 gram of sugar, because after all, there's a nut in that honey. But there's only 140 calories a serving of any of this fine cereal. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And right now at MagicSpoon.com, you can build your own box. You can choose from cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cookies and cream, maple waffle, blueberry, cinnamon, and the aforementioned and newly reformulated honey nut. And all of it available at MagicSpoon.com. If you go there and go to MagicSpoon.com/Jim, grab the custom bundle, use the promo code Jim at checkout, you'll save $5 off your order. It's backed with the 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any nefarious reason, they will give you your money back. MagicSpoon.com/Jim. Use the code Jim to save $5 off.